Hi, BoLS fans. Larry Vela. We're here at GenCon 2016, and this is the one you've been waiting for. We are at Fantasy Flight Games, who has so much stuff this year. They just unveiled a huge amount of new things like hours ago. So, well, we're here.
Evan Johnson.
Evan Johnson. All right, our designated FFG man. All right, Evan. Sounds like you guys are having a fantastic show. What's new and exciting for 2016?
Yeah, we just had the in-flight report with Christian G. Peterson. He revealed a bunch of new things, as he always does. We just announced Rune Wars, our first, perhaps, true miniatures game, which comes with unpainted miniatures. It's a big rank-and-file miniatures game where you're maneuvering blocks of armies across the battlefield. We announced new ships for X-Wing and for Armada. We announced new figures for Imperial Assault. We're coming out with a collectible dice and card game, Star Wars Destiny, that's been announced, and then we have tons of board games from across all of our IPs.
Okay, so I was just very cool. Well, where do you want to get started?
Let's get started with Rune Wars.
Okay. See you guys soon. All right, we are back with Evan, Fantasy Flight Games, and we are showing off something. This is crazy. All you people in BoLS Land are going to go nuts over this. This is Rune Wars, the miniatures game.
Yes.
All right, and what we are talking about is, I'm just going to show you guys this really quick. Fantasy Flight Games is now making a rank and file fantasy miniatures game. We're going to talk more all about that. All right. What do we got? Let's talk about it.
So basically, I'm just gonna knock this tree over. So basically, the heart of the game is these tools here. They use a mechanic that is kind of similar to X-Wing, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. Basically, on this left dial, you're going to choose an action for your figures. Unlike X-Wing, you don't just move and fight every turn. You might want to move this turn or fight this turn, or maybe you want to kind of shuffle sideways or reform and flip around. You're also going to be choosing a modifier for your action, and that can be different. So for instance, you might change just a straight movement, you might change that into kind of this banking maneuver, or you might change it into a charge where you get to attack at the end. If you're attacking, you might want a chance to do more damage, or you might want to try and trigger your special abilities, or you might boost your defense. So every unit has a completely different command tool with different maneuvers, different pairings that are possible.
Okay.
So everything feels very differently.
So you have one of these per unit.
Yes, per unit.
And what's actually on the dials is different based on from unit to unit.
So all units of all reanimates, for instance, all have the same dial.
Okay, I get you.
But reanimates and carry-on lancers have completely different dials.
Okay.
Every type of unit has its own very different dial. So basically, the way movement works, you have these maneuver templates, again, very similar to X-Wing. I'm sure that you've seen this kind of thing before. You line it up with the front corner just like that.
Okay.
And you move along just like that. So that's basically how movement works.
Okay.
Every unit has its own dice that you'll be rolling to try and hit. You also, the width and the depth of your unit has a huge impact on how much damage you can do. The wider you are, basically each of your damage counts. It does more hits for the wider your unit is. The deeper your unit is, the more you'll be able to re-roll these dice. Okay. So there's a huge advantage to having these kind of big, large units. But as you are going through the game, you're going to lose these units, and they just come right out of the trays just like that. And once they're all gone, then the whole tray is gonna just come off, just like that.
X-Wing.
Very cool.
Yep.
How'd you do that again? For that to work?
They're just puzzle cut pieces, and they just slide together just like that.
And you build your formations like that. That's awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I noticed that you have a whole lot of just as examples of movement tiles. Some of these things are pretty long, so So there's a lot of things in this game can move fairly large distances turn to turn.
Definitely. Yeah. Yep. There's a lot of variety there. For instance, like these cavalry are significantly quicker, whereas, if you just have, some kind of shuffling skeletons, those guys are not going to exactly race across the battlefield.
Right, and obviously you look at their dials and be like, oh, they have faster movement.
Precisely.
Just like X-Wing.
Very awesome.
So there's a bunch of different kinds of units. These infantry are 4 to a tray, cavalry here, 2 to a tray, then there are these larger units, a single unit to a tray. We also have these unique heroes, which have their own special trays, as you can see. They're kind of textured up like that. Every unit has a bunch of different upgrades that they can take, very similar to X-Wing again. Although the larger a unit is, the more upgrades it can equip. So again, there is that kind of incentive to have these huge blocks of units that are kind of moving across the battlefield, and then you could have, maybe you have special armor, maybe you have a huge block of these spearmen, and they have like a rune golem right in front, leading them in the charge.
Okay. I'm seeing that there's cards.
Yes.
So let's take a look at let's the camera take a look at those, and so let's talk about these. Every unit's going to have its own. So what are we talking about here?
So this is basically just a really quick reference for what your unit does, what his special abilities are. So you've got here, that's how many hits it takes to cause damage. This is the red number there, that's how many damage each figure can take. So for instance, these reanimate archers, fairly weak. One hit will cause a damage, one damage will kill a figure. Okay, so just a 1-for-1 basis. Whereas Artis up here, the hero, he needs to take 3 hits to even get 1 damage, and then he can take 4 of those damage.
Oh, very cool.
Okay, so he is kind of a hyper guy. Down here you've got the dice they roll in ranged and in melee, if they have that option. Lots of units, only have a melee option. Then you just have any special abilities that are on that they have. For instance, these reanimate archers can light their targets and weaken them in that way. They're also steadfast against doubt. There's a lot of morale plays a big role in this game and trying to panic your opponent, and that's you have a morale deck that you get cards from. These reanimate archers are immune to a lot of the effects of that.
It's just like solid one color green. Starting to get a decent amount on the game. Let's talk a little bit about the miniatures kind of as products themselves. So here's an example. This guy is absolutely beautiful. Look at this. You want to kind of show it to you guys for scale. This is obviously a large monster or a hero of some type.
Yeah.
That's not true. But these are going to come.
What's the format that players are going to be able to actually purchase these things in? So like, what do we?
Sure.
What do these things look like?
So the core set that comes with everything that you see on the table here. So I mean, not the terrain itself.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
So all of these miniatures.
All of these miniatures. This is one full core set.
Okay.
Yep. They come unpainted. They you'll need to assemble them. We don't yet have customization options, so you won't. So if you'll notice, there are 4 different poses of reanimates, but like this rune golem, he just has his one pose. There are like a bunch of different options you can swap out again. Though that is something that we're moving towards, being able to get that capability.
It'll be sold. That's in the box set. What about outside the box set?
So there will be expansions as well. All of these guys will be sold individually if you want to swell your army in that way. And they come, like for instance, if you buy a pack of reanimates, that will come with all the figures that you need. They come with all of these trays that you plug them right into. And it'll come with their command tool and their cards and more upgrade cards, everything that you need to make them a part of the launch. It's just in that one box.
That is kind of some bigger picture questions. Let's talk about number of players, cost. What do we? So what are we looking at here?
So at its heart, it's a 2-player game.
Okay.
Though of course, there's nothing to stop you from saying like, I'm going to command this half the army, you're going to command this half the army. Okay. It could very easily become a multiplayer game.
Okay.
But at its core, there are 2 sides.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay. That sounds.
As for cost, a tournament-ready army is going to be 200 points.
Okay.
Every unit has a point value based on how big they are and stuff.
So give me an example of what would this cost? Like that would be.
So the core set, which is all these figures, is going to be 100 bucks.
Okay.
And so basically, this is approximately half of an army, of a tournament standard army. So for instance, I think the easiest way to get into it is you and me, we want to get into this. We each buy a core set. I give you all my humans because I don't like humans. You give me all your undead, and now we have basically full armies.
Yeah, and we've seen that model for years with lots of other manufacturers, and that's a fantastic price point. What can you tell us about street dates? When's this going to be available?
This will be available early in 2017, very early.
Okay, very, very good. And number of factions. So obviously the box set has these 2. Is that it? Are there more coming? What's going on?
There are just 2 in the box set right now. We have plans, of course, to expand, but I can't get too much into that right now.
Well, let me give you a broader question. In this game's universe, there are many factions.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yes.
Good enough. And something tells me they probably are coming eventually.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
That is all right. Not going to put you on the spot. Well, all right, guys, that is Rune Wars, the miniature game. And wow, that is super exciting. We're seeing FFG moving into an entirely a different market, one that has been, we all know who the players are in that market. This is going to be really interesting. And at that price point, everyone should definitely give it a shot. So we are now going to look at Rune Wars. I know that I believe that you've already seen some of the figures painted. In the case, we've placed some of Wave 1. For each faction, we've got a couple of heroes, and we've got something you may find in traditional minis games. For example, here we've got a musician and a standard bearer for the White Car forces. Right, these are going to be out in early 2017. We've got an additional hero. Additional sort of epic hero character, and then we've got an undead necromancer. So got some magic on the table, got some single characters, and one thing that I really love about the hero figures, the leader figures here, this will come as a mounted and unmounted. So this is Vorakesh. If you know Terranoth, if you know the lore, Vorakesh is a figure that comes up often. This will come in the case. You can have the mounted or unmounted, arrive mounted and dismount and jump into battle as that same character. So very, very cool. So that's White Car's forces. Let's look at the Dakan Lords, and then I'll open and I'll stand right in front of you. Again, let's start with a standard bearer and musician. Motivate your troops. Oh wow. So that's for the human faction in this setting of Terranoth. If you've ever played Rune Wars, the board game, or Battle Lore, these are the very same factions that you find in Descent. You know, this setting has been in development slowly over the years, and I think finally they're looking to just push it, really make it real. And the tabletop mini space is a great place to bring it. So here we've got a wizard and another individual hero character. And then the leader, got Lord Hawthorne, who I think most recently showed up in Descent. But here we have Lord Hawthorne riding into battle on his mighty steed. And again, mounted and unmounted versions. So, you know, and I don't know if we'll see here, for example, we've got, for sizing, we've got Rune Golem.
You can see the Rune Golem is put into the unit base.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a siege base, so the larger figures are siege bases. The faction leaders, their individual models are going to go into sort of a leader base, so that it's got a larger facing, which is interesting on the table. But then you can gussy up the base. You can actually texture it. It just gives you a nice little display platform that has a game purpose.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's it. I don't know. Do you want to see the size of the carry-on rider?
I definitely want to see the worm.
All right, let's get that out. I think then that. All right, so let's start here. There we go. All right, and I really dig the style that they're pulling off. As I was watching the sculpts,
That's a really fantastic. That model works really well in all three dimensions. It's what he's really, you know, he doesn't have a strong front and a weak back. It's really, he's just really active and dynamic all the way around.
When you see these in person, especially when they're painted, because this Tabletop Minis has the hobby element, right? It brings these figures to life. They did a remarkable job with all of the sculpts.
What is this thing actually called?
This is the Carrion Worm, I believe, is the final name for it.
That is just yet another, just all you guys out there in BoLS. I mean, this miniature looks great. Go ahead and turn it all the way around. I mean, it looks great from all sides. That's a really fantastic sculpt.
Thank you. That's we've grown the miniatures and sculpting teams, and man, to watch them work, they're on fire, and they're loving playing in this world. Really giving Terranoth a style and a definition, and like making the choices. It's kind of chunky, a little cartoony edge, but just, I mean, in every case, I'm amazed
by.
That's just a standard trooper. Basically.
Yeah, this is the rank and file reanimates for Y-Car's forces.
That looks fantastic.
You know, so they're not pre-painted. I mean, minis players know. I think expect that. But boy, and then even the sculpt. So there are 4 alternate sculpts, not alternates. There are 4 different sculpts for rank and file troops.
Okay.
And so when you distribute them on the tray, I mean, what you get is an incredibly dynamic set. So now let me jump to the question you had earlier. What we've done is add 4 sculpts. How are these figures in their unassembled form? Okay,
sure.
I think many gamers are used to having maybe articulated options for shoulders and like other weapons, and in this case, these are going to be easily pushed together. It is not hard plastic.
Okay.
It's going to be a little of the softer plastic. I don't literally know whether it's PVC or what that final plastic is, but if you've played Descent, I think it's going to be similar to the Descent figures that we.
Okay.
So it's kind of on the harder end of the soft gray plastic.
Okay.
They're all going to be gray, and the assembly required is a matter of pushing 2 or 3 pieces together.
Okay.
We recommend that you drop some crazy glue on there just to make sure they hold together.
But as an example, these aren't on sprue.
They are not on a sprue.
Right. So these come as just all the little pieces are ready to go, and you just push them together.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we put this together 15, 20 minutes. You just dump it on the table, get 2 people push and assemble.
And for all of you tabletop fans, you know, at the same time, you know, everyone wants to know what are these things made of? You know, how do they go together? At the end of the day, that's what they look like painted. So that, you know, if that's what they look like painted, that's a really fantastic product.
We are looking
Those things on the tabletop done look great.
Thank you. Yeah,
Those are
it's
great
pretty
work.
amazing. I think Christian said that at the start of the in-flight report, and he said, look, we want game first, design, and alongside we're going to try to make the best miniatures that we can. We have been learning how to make great minis, but try the game, demo it if you're here, and demo it when you can. It's pretty amazing. Thanks.
All right, everyone, talk to you later. And Anton, as always, thank you so much.
You got it.